BenFlyingRetro, and I'm embarking on a quest to purchase every classic GI Joe comic from the original 80s and 90s Marvel run.
Warning.
Hunting down individual issues from every corner of the globe in whatever order the universe decides to give me. Join me and my pal Steve every week as we discuss my latest find. Welcome to Chasing Joe. Chasing Joe. Welcome to episode 27 of Chasing Joe, coming at you live from Dorset's Megaplex. It's BenFlyingRetro. I'm introducing this episode like, I'm announcing a WWF match.
Riveting.
How are we, my good man?
S-Jubs, broadcasting from Jakarta, Indonesia. I mean, I'm all over the map.
Look, if you told me that you were actually a secret agent or a spy, I wouldn't argue with that because you are international man of mystery. Not so much a mystery.
I do have 1, 2, 3 passports. So
stop it.
I guess a green book, a red book, and a blue book. Hey.
Do you have any? What are those things in banks? Safety deposit boxes. Do you have any of those?
Swiss bank account. No, I only deal with the Cayman Islands. I find the tax break to be to my liking.
Just opening up a briefcase and having those, those passports laid out in front of you. You can be a secret agent, but only in 3 countries.
Well, if you've got Africa and you've got Asia and you've got Europe, I think you're okay globally. You pretty much navigate everywhere. Yeah,
I think so.
Without visas.
Why?
Maybe. I don't know. Anyway, what are we here? What are we doing?
Exactly. Why are we here? People want us to be here. Sometimes they get disappointed when we give them short episodes. Can you believe it? We are being encouraged to talk more about ARA, and that's not a problem for me.
No. I just pull the plug out and out comes the GI Joe verbiage.
The postman's bin. What has he given me? It's thin. It's very thin. I'll let you into a little insight.
Got a comic in it.
This is a donation. It's our guy, Springsteen83, Tom Donaldson. Born in the USA.
No, the jingle was Thomas Donaldson. Do. Hey?
Oh yeah,
I remember. Yeah.
Bruce Springsteen. He's like a champion of the blue collar kind of work in America, doing it for the people. Yeah, the boss.
If they call him the boss, seems a bit of.
He's a union kind of guy. I don't know much about Bruce Springsteen. I should do. I read his book. But there you go. That's the only song I know, and the one where Monica from Friends gets up and dances with him. Have you seen that?
I have enormous respect for have an enormous love for Bruce Springsteen. So I feel impoverished a little bit culturally. But I'm not dyed-in-the-wool fan. But between
Born to
plastic
Run
and paper, do I really have time for music?
I don't think you do. But what has he sent me?
That's all I listen to. What has he sent you?
Dun, 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 dun. It's issue 68. Dropped October 20th in 1987. For some reason, it's got a February 88 cover date. These guys were working in the future. Absolute banger of a cover, but let me give you a cultural landscape of what was happening on October the 20th, 1987. Well, I can tell you that on October 19th, 87, it was Black Monday. Global stock market crash. Worldwide losses were estimated to be at a $1.71 trillion. So maybe make yourself feel better and go and grab this from your newsstand.
I'm no economist, but I feel like recessions have tanked a lot harder since 88.
Do you think so? That one has a name after it. That is a famous day.
Well, that's because they still bothered to name them back then. Nowadays, like
is every Monday Black Monday?
like I say, I'm no economist, but I feel like recessions in the 80s have nothing
look,
on like
on that
COVID.
Tuesday, you may have been sad because your bank savings had gone down a little bit. So get yourself to the Megaplex and go and see the #1 movie that weekend. It was the Bunny Boiler itself, Fatal Attraction. I don't know if that's going to make you feel better. Michael Douglas having an affair. Also, you could have gone to see The Princess Bride. That was doing the rounds.
I still have not seen it.
Are you? What's
problematic?
That's sometimes I like it when that happens. When someone just says, it's like someone hasn't seen Star Wars or something, and you can't believe
this
it.
one keeps coming up, and it is the perfect co-watch for me and my wife. It's kind of the Venn diagram that we're right in the intersection of like our two tastes. But because it's fantasy, I've steered clear. Like I never saw it back in the day, so I'd have to kind of watch it retroactively, like going back and watching this cult classic. But everyone says it's incredible. So
I think you're right to go into that film without any kind of nostalgia. Maybe you'd be like, "What is this actual nonsense?"
Look, it's been spoken of so highly in like YouTube videos that I've consumed that I feel like I know why. Like I almost get it without having seen it.
Oh, perfect.
So I'm ready.
You've saved yourself 2 hours.
No, I want to experience it. Like I say, fantasy wasn't a genre that pushed my buttons.
Yeah,
which is
swords and sandals.
Yeah, sword and sandal. Give me lightsabers and spaceships. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you, George.
Mm-hmm.
Well, MJ was at the top of the music charts with Who's Bad? That was doing the rounds. If you stumble into Toys R Us, it was Boglins. Do you remember Boglins, S-Jubs?
My brother and sister had them, so yes, hand-me-downs.
Big box and they were in their cells. That is a retro toy that is actually quite disgusting when you see them now because of that. What they were made out of is kind of perished.
It's all cracked,
it's all smelly and horrible. They really are Boglins. What else could you have seen? So Mask Series 4 was out. Its final line. That was ending. He-Man also had its final line out. IPs were dropping like flies with Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles just a summer away. Arcade games you could have played: Afterburner, the motion simulator arcade cabinet. This cabinet simulates an aircraft cockpit with flight stick controls, a chair with seatbelt, and hydraulic motion technology that moves, tilts, rolls, and rotates the cockpit in sync with the on-screen action. Oh my God, I am sold.
Well, we've spoken in the past about that particular, I can't even call it a cabinet, it's a carnival ride.
Yeah.
And the fact that yours still had the seatbelts attached, I'm pretty sure in Africa, like, our seatbelts were absent.
I also think in my local arcade, we had almost like a VIP rope around it, like like nightclub rope, like whoa, you don't want to get your finger caught in there, or
safety stanchions with like police.
I mean, what was the playtime on that? The playtime probably wasn't even 30 seconds.
And I'm also trying to think of like the lifespan of that thing. I mean, maintenance on arcade equipment that actually has mechanical components.
Dude, I know a lot about it. We keep going to this retro arcade in Croydon, and these cabinets had functioning hydraulics, gas cylinders. There is so much going on in them. Keeping them going now is actually almost impossible.
Case in point, Australia's largest retro arcade, the One Up Arcade in Brisbane, is having to close its doors in May. It's just no longer financially viable.
Yeah,
Big
even
loss there.
basic games, even things like Sega Rally, where it has a lot of resistance on the steering wheel and all that kind of the stuff that's going on in there. Who do you call? Who do you call? Back in the day, Sega would have come out, that day and sorted it all out. But yeah, for sure. Look, well, my personal
Sega ain't
favorite.
making house calls no more.
Yeah. My personal favorite from that year was actually Operation Wolf.
Yes.
Massive
Rail
game for me.
shooter. Two Uzis, right? Or
Yeah.
Mac 10s.
You are bang correct there with rail shooter. I've never thought, but it obviously was that.
Sideways rails. You're
Yeah,
panning
sideways
across
rails.
the landscape.
Amazing game. And then I bought it for the C64 as well, and I was playing it at home. Unbelievable.
Not with a light gun, with keyboard.
Yeah, joystick doesn't really work. But look, you stumbled out of the arcade, get into the comic shop, buy yourself X Factor issue 25, where not Mr. Hyde, but Apocalypse and Archangel were causing havoc. That's the cultural landscape. There you go, S-Jubs. I think you feel drenched in 1987 and ready to discuss this book. I got to smell it first. I got to smell it. So,
on your facial feature.
This is my 8th donation. The community is kind. They know that I'm in it.
The boss is in the lead. No doubt about it.
Geez, this might be the cleanest smelling book I've had so far.
Okay.
Seriously, it's actually quite pleasant. I'm getting aftershave vibes. What is Tom doing? Does he think it's like one of those like GQ and you see people in the airport doing this?
Oh, with the free samples.
Why? Because they're looking to hook up on the airplane. They think they're going to
Ben, I think Tom's just really keen on you gorgeous blonde bombshell. You.
I just mean the people doing that in the magazine. They're just and then they put the magazine back and don't even buy it. Bizarre.
When I was a single man traveling, I would always hit the perfumery at the departures lounge. Like, I just couldn't resist. Just one or two testers. I probably smelled like a hooker by the end of it. But like, couldn't
Phoenix.
So nice to get on the plane smelling like some aftershave that you would never buy.
My 14-year-old son is really into that phase. He loves going into like department stores and just chucking on everything, every sample. They come in these little sticks now. They're like these little sticks. You just come home. I was like, there's too much. You're overly scented, Phoenix. It's ridiculous.
I don't think teenage boys and girls could ever be overly scented. They smell like they bathe in that shit.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Teenage gaggle of girls get into the elevator. I'm like, gagging.
Does this comic book mean anything to you just off the bat? Does it make you think of anything? What comes to your mind?
As an adult, because I only encountered this much later, this was like, I had to read Paul's trade paperback because this was in the IDW run, which I didn't have. So I got this in like Joburg in 2011. And because I read them like binge style, it was hard for this to jump out from under the rest of the issues. Reading it now, they're words that you and Chief spoke way back in the yesteryear of Talking Joe that come to mind. This is a season finale. This issue.
Yes. Yeah, for sure.
Cut and freeze dried is the big button on like a whole bunch of plot lines. To that point.
Now, before we get deep into the plot, thoughts on this cover? It feels like one of them Fast and Furious films. They're always chucking vehicles out of planes and, I feel the speed from how this is drawn. Like
leading the charge.
It's a good
followed
cover.
By the Snowcat, followed by the Ore Striker, all just tumbling out of the back of that C-130 as it roars away skyward. Baroness and two Hiss tanks. Dangerously close. I mean, this is going to be a collision.
The way they're in the foreground, just framing the whole image, is fantastic. And also, I love a pink GI Joe. Just a great choice. I think that's a fantastic choice for this cover. But also
dropped vehicles from a C-130 or a transport plane with occupants in them in a play motion on the GI Joburg channel, and I had actual sort of military dudes say to me, "We never drop equipment with occupants in it." I'm like, "Where's the fun in that?
Come on. Yeah. I mean, that is great. They are. I mean, also look, they are high up still. It's not as if. Yeah, the actual reality is incredible.
There's a massive sort of impact where the Persuader has almost bounced. It's hit the deck, made this like spark shower. Not even spark shower. That looks like an explosion.
Yeah. Look, also
rebounded up into his tanks.
Newsstand. It's newsstand because people needed a comic after Black Monday. No one wanted to pick up the Post or the New York Times. They wanted G.I. Joe in their lives.
And what a comic to pick up. Goodness me. In terms of synopsis, we've got the country of Fruzenland is in the midst of a hostile takeover by Cobra and its insidious plan to put terradromes everywhere and cause paranoia waves to basically make the nation ungovernable. They've landed troops, they've landed wolves, they've landed maggots, they've landed mumbas, they've landed everything. But G.I. Joe is going to throw a spanner in their works because not only is Hawk leading the charge with some of his boys, but the Battle Force 2000 have been secretly ensconced as part of an American research station in Fruzenland. Anyway, the Joes managed to turn the tide in the last few pages of this issue. It's incredible.
It's joyous. It's joyous. What a treat it was opening these pages. Who's on art?
Ron Wagner. And may I just say that as an adult and as a fan of G.I. Joe, in any stage of your fandom, if you've read the comics, you know that you're always going to get a mixed bag in terms of like attention to detail and like high fidelity depictions of hardware. But this man is an underrated genius. Panel by panel by panel, everything looks perfect.
Yeah, down to the
every
rivets.
Angle. The man does not dial it in, not once.
Yeah.
I don't think this man is celebrated not nearly enough. Ron Wagner on pencils.
Take a bow.
Unassailable.
Yeah.
And he's got a massive amount of vehicles to depict. C-130s, Snowcat, Persuader, Ore Striker, his tanks, maggots, mumbas, terradromes, all of the new BF2K stuff, which was debuting in this issue.
Yeah.
Never been like drawn before. And he's on top of it, man.
And it starts right from page 1. We just open up and it's serious anti-aircraft fire. It's absolutely brilliant opening page. Baroness just yelling out.
How often do you get a splash page that is like a worm's eye view? We're basically at track level on those his tanks.
Yeah, that's
aiming up at the C-130 as it comes in.
That's what I thought. It's like an MTV music video. It's such a great take. Yeah, that is something that I didn't really think about that, but it's a great creative angle because he's managed to get so much going on in there because of his choice.
Yeah, it's kind of echoing the cover in a sense.
Yeah.
Low angle looking up at the C-130. But we're going to get that action in a more spectacular fashion than the cover. The cover has to tell the story in one panel. But what Wild Bill is able to do with the C-130 in the following pages, insane.
Yeah.
He gets it to turn on the dime, like a 180 turn.
And look, only one of those vehicles that's coming out, S-Jubs, has the cozy factor, and you know that for sure.
And it ain't the Persuader.
There is a beautiful profile panel of just a wall, a line of hiss tanks, and it is joyous. Look at that.
Love a cold weather blue shirt.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Scarves.
Through the gap, spread out and head for the tundra. Tundra. I just love that word. Instantly think of Hoth.
And you're right about the Fast and Furious reference, because like this feels like a precursor to the insanity that they tried there. Because like, where else are you going to see a GI Joe armored assault with a C-130?
Yeah. So runway scenes in films, I think there's like one in Bad Boys that they always pop up. But, you know, the way it's edited, you can get a runway action scene that lasts 5-10 minutes in a film. Where, you know, the reality is a runway actually isn't that long. And that's what these first few pages make me feel like. It's just so awesome how he's stretching out that kind of elastic band of storytelling of what's happening on that runway. It's great. It's very, very filmy. It's awesome.
And look, the time with it.
3 vehicles against, I don't know, God knows how many HISS tanks.
Well, they're showing off the power of the Persuader's laser cannon. It can do pinpoint targeting of a HISS tank's right tread in order to create a collision that wipes
That's CoverGirl.
Off the map. That is CoverGirl.
Yeah, she doesn't. She literally gets a couple of bubbles of dialogue, and that's it.
Well, I'm glad they went with a tanker. They could have just as easily gone with Lady J, but they chose someone who's armor dedicated to man the Persuader's main gun, and I appreciate that. That's Larry Hama showing off that he still has a great command of early characters as well.
Now, I've got here in my notes, Techno Vipers on the situation display map.
Oh.
Because you got Mindbender with his with his pink cans on, which is joyous. And yeah, he's smoozing.
Does it strike you as odd that like even guys in helmets need to wear the cans? Like Techno Vipers maybe, because their helmets are probably, you know, El Cheapo pieces of plastic, but Battle Armor Cobra Commander?
No, come on. The cans on every character is hilarious. It's so good. Yeah. I just love the kind of old school WW2, troops on a situation table, shuffling those. I mean, how far behind real time is that? It's I don't even fully understand it from a World War II perspective. Like, by the time you're getting this information back, you've got to adjust your map. I think you're thinking of much bigger numbers, aren't you? And kind of broader strokes, I guess.
Well, your war room is across the channel. You know, they're getting radio updates and putting
essentially
them into visual sort of information. I mean, here you could have a live feed. In 1988, you could get a camera link up.
You're dealing with a really serious sort of situation, but you've basically got visually just toys on a table being pushed around, which is great.
Who doesn't love a miniature Ore Striker, Persuader? I see a C-130 as well.
I got a bunch of very miniature ones when they started coming with the figs. What? I don't know when that would have been.
Oh, that was a European exclusive that I'm envious of. Yeah, man.
I've still got a bunch of them. Yeah, Warthog, Persuader, got them both. Anything else?
Beautiful.
That's the only two I've got.
Probably
no, that would have been joyous. But I tell you what else is joyous and really got me tingling was Blocker and Blaster surveying a terradrome in the frozen tundra, like at the end of Christopher Nolan's Inception or something. You know, when they go down to the... I just love all this stuff. I mean, what is this outpost, this research facility that is straight out of The Thing or something? Like, that's where I want to be stationed, S-Jubs.
They're having trouble adapting them to the cold. I guess the aftercare vehicle pool needed to experience every kind of biome.
I love all of this stuff. I love it. That research facility, I mean, that is just The Thing all over. That is where I want to be. Don't you want to do a couple of months there?
No, not a chance.
Do you not?
It's the first time it struck me, but there's like a visual callback to issue 2.
Issue 2
also dealt with the paranoia wave. So this research station is is a callback to the American research station, which got overrun in issue 2.
Mm-hmm.
And it's also called back in the scripting for this issue. Because there's one point where I think it's Technoviper who says, like, to Cobra Commander,
he catches him out.
The paranoia waves from Quinn.
Yeah.
Way back when. Like, this has been your plan all along, Cobra Commander. And Fred 7, Cobra Commander's like, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
I did that. Right. Good job, trooper.
That image makes me think of 2 more things. It makes me think of playing Command & Conquer Red Alert, and that would be your infantry barracks. They'd look identical to that. And it also makes me think of playing Desert Strike, which I'm playing at the moment. Excellent. Because you shoot down lots of those things. But yeah, I just love this whole side of the comic book with these guys. They seem to be controversial. I've got no issue. And just how they're all at each other's throats. Like, what a great cut-to visual of that. Just blasting through the door in a full-on ruck. Yeah. Because, you know, these waves are out there. You know, just like the Thing. Even more so. The Thing.
Yeah. Even the good guys are turning on each other just the same as the bad guys.
Yeah.
Or the population of Frusenland.
I also wanted to give Baroness a shout out in this issue because she's just a great field commander. I feel like she just bosses the whole thing, man. She's just on it like a car bonnet.
Good figure choice for your HISS tank. Like, it's her command vehicle, but it's also a battlefield assault vehicle. You know, she can give some punishment to any Joes that cross her crosshairs.
And she's not really made out to be silly or a clown. You know, she's all business in this issue.
She very nearly is about to annihilate the Joes in the end before Larry Hama gives them the sort of Hail Mary play. And Mindbender gets on the radio and says, call off the attack. Well, he writes himself into a corner because... You know.
Yeah, but there's a few issues where he's like, we got news just come through from the committee in Washington. No can do. You're going to have to pull out. Okay. And it's almost as if everyone just puts down their toys and just sort of, walks off.
One missile off the chain. Like, a stray rocket would have taken the Joes out in their piddly future fortress.
Ooh, you flicked past a great one there with the maggots.
Oh, yeah. No. Where she be?
Where she be? I just said the turrets on those things. So cool. I feel like, what do you do with those? You keep them at the back. You get your your sights dialed in and locked in, and just rain down hell. I guess.
Yeah, nothing the Joes have can match the range on those maggot guns.
Yeah, and have they got any close arms fire? What else have they got?
A maggot has that big ass gun, and then it also has 2 smaller weapons.
Right.
I suppose the driver has this coaxial machine gun poking out the front.
Yeah.
And then there's a laser cannon.
And is he the spotter as well? Is he the one that's dialing in the ordnance?
Well, it depends on where you put your worms. Like, the worms should be sort of an artillery commander, which is why I don't like putting him in the driver's seat. I prefer to give like a spare HISS tank driver that duty, or a blue shirt. I prefer to have the worms kind of not even behind the gun. He's standing above the gun with some rangefinders. Yeah.
I mean, can you imagine the devastation of 3 of those? Unreal.
I don't have to imagine.
But
they put down a wall of explosion. And it actually cracks the glacier in half.
They know that they can't hit them, don't they? They know that they're out of range, but they just do it for effect.
I'm not sure about the finer points of that, Ben. I think they would have happily blown them away. Oh, they're almost out of range. Yeah, sure.
But they go for it anyway. And, and
they destroy the ice to the point where they have to pursue in wolves, and the wolves can make that jump. So cool.
Now, talk to me about this. What is this? This mobile battle unit that they set up, that they erect near the end.
Sorry, I'm just taken by these wolves clearing the gap right now.
Oh, yeah.
That is probably understated, one of like low-key my favorite panels. Just showing what the wolves can do. They are built
It's
for this
joyous.
kind of
Would
terrain.
you have liked to have
They can
seen
fly.
one not make it, maybe? I don't know.
Very TIE fighter.
Yeah, just like the last one down into that. Yeah.
All right, you wanted to talk about the future fortress? Fine. It's a joke.
But what's the reality of it? Like, I mean, you say it's a joke. It looks helpful there.
It looks like you're deploying secondary elements of your vehicles to create this very flimsy, teensy thing that you can barely call a fortress, which rightfully was going to be vaporized by Baroness if it wasn't for the last minute save.
You don't think you could command your troops from there, from the back?
It doesn't even have a roof. But then again, what GI Joe base has a roof, honestly?
Do you know they have something like this in Star Wars Episode 2, Attack of the Clones? And I think sort of Yoda gets up to it and there's a couple of clone troopers. Do you know what I mean? It feels similar.
I'll take your word for it. And it's been a while since I watched that episode, but I wouldn't say that's a stamp of authority on like best protective or defensive positions.
There's a cool cannon in the corner there.
Yes, that would be from the Sky Sweeper.
Okay.
Oh, no, sorry. That is from Blocker's vehicle, which name escapes me. Maybe it's the Eliminator.
It's kind of modular. Yeah. So how many vehicles have we got in there forming that?
So we've got the sort of gun turret ball from the Vector jet. We've got the outer casing of the Dominator snow tank, which ironically isn't in the issue. Did you know that? The one dedicated snow vehicle is the one that isn't there because Avalanche is actually riding shotgun with Blocker. Anyway.
Oh, yeah, because we've got that lovely panel where we see all of the vehicles through the binoculars, yeah.
Yeah, because of Larry's, like, really brisk storytelling, I feel like the Battle Force 2000 are robbed their, like, first action sequence. Mm-hmm. Because it's told in reported speed. We've just come from knocking out all the Terradromes, so that's taken care of. We don't have to waste panel time on that.
Big task. That's an issue itself, I think. Mm-hmm.
So
but it's pretty cool that they saved the day.
Hovercraft is called the Dustbuster. No, I'm blanking once again. I don't own any of these vehicles. Maybe I should.
Yeah, they don't ring a bell to me.
The Sky Sweeper is Knockdown's anti-aircraft cannon emplacement, sort of a tank/AA gun. And the Marauder is Dodge's like half-track bike.
Yeah.
Hope I got that all right. Be sure to crucify me in the comments if I got a single thing wrong, please. I love hearing that. No, kidding. I do like to be kept on the straight and narrow, so keep me honest, commentators. But yeah, they knife through those wolves very efficiently.
Yeah, I mean, it's just dawned on me how much trouble they were actually in, though, before that news came in. And Hawk at the end saying, phew. And that is a great last panel because they were about to get absolutely macked.
Yeah.
What did you have? You had the Mambas come in?
GI Joe had very little air support. I mean, good thing the hovercraft and the Vector jet showed up because, like, what were they thinking? They were going to take back the country with, like, 5 vehicles? Not even?
Yeah, not even. I don't know. Well, look, what can't Battle Force do?
They can't survive an exploding oil field, but we'll get to that.
Of all the subsets and things like that, why were they one of the most controversial? Too hokey, not done. I don't know. Not enough thought to their design, how they look. Not enough synergy. I don't know.
I think G.I. Joe's bread and butter had all grown up to the point where, like, a certain amount of futurism, military futurism, is acceptable with G.I. Joe.
Yes.
Cobra can go crazy. Cobra designs have a little bit more rope. G.I. Joe, you're pushing it when you go past a laser cannon and a jetpack. Now you've got a bunch of guys that are suddenly being sold as, like, this future team. They're incongruous. They're easily skippable. Like, I think if you have an eye for budget and you're making these selections based on what you really want to kind of gel with your original team members, you're going to get Outback. You're going to get Tunnel Rat. You're going to get Lieutenant Falcon. You're going to get the Persuader. You might be able to stretch as far as the MCC or help the Defiant if you were minted. But the BF2K probably were the most easily skippable subset. And they sold them separate to the vehicles. Like, since when has GI Joe sold middle to upper value items without drivers?
Truth, yes.
I think it was a case of maybe kids catching wise to Hasbro's shenanigans at that point.
But then not launching any individual figures would have been wild as well. And just saying, well, there's a new team out, but the only way to get them is with mid-level vehicle purchases.
But they're all vehicle drivers.
Yeah.
Using them as infantrymen, yeah, sure, they all came with a gun. But like the ones at Jet Jock, I mean, he wound up being the backseat man on my Phantom X19. Like Maverick's place, since I don't own a Vector, is to back up he who shall never be named.
I think there is a place for them, and there's definitely adventures they could have, but they need
in the future.
Yeah, that's it. They need a different landscape around them.
There was a theory that they were going to be a Splinter toy line.
Mm-hmm. Oh, really? Right. Okay.
I don't know if I'm just pulling that out of my ass or if there's actual evidence to support that. But their torsos all seem a little bit bulkier than the regular Joes, as if they were sculpted to have some kind of additional feature. And that feature might have been pushed into the Visionaries line, for instance. You know, holographic chests, etc.
I think I would have preferred them to have been a complete rip-off of a sort of colonial marine platoon, you know?
Yeah.
And had them
they
actually...
almost got there.
But actually have them all kind of intrinsically linked in terms of how they look and do that. That could have been cool.
Yeah. Dodger's always going to be the runaway hit.
He's a great fig, though, visually. He's fantastic because he's your Hicks, isn't he? He is your Hicks.
So it's...
And that's
he's
how
got a sweet gun, too. I mean, like, it's got an RPG pointing out of it. It looks like a space shotgun.
Yeah. The fact that he's got the...
spike knuckle on the trigger
comms.
Yes,
the comms is just a great touch. I'm going to dig him out.
Though. Dig him out. See if you've got his mic still.
Yeah. I just remember just instantly thinking, Colonial Marine, amazing. You know, there's no way whoever designed that, that's what they're channeling. Let me think of my other favourites from those guys.
Check your camera.
They're quite, like, they're stark, aren't they? They're sort of, yeah. I just don't even think they look that great together.
They're detailed and they're very asymmetrical. Like, sometimes to their own detriment. Like, I'm thinking of Blaster, and I think he's got a missing paint app. Like, he's got flesh tone, where it's this bulky, roughly, like, part of his sleeve. And that just looks bad and weird. Come on.
Bad and weird. Now, what's the jet called again, dude?
The Vector.
The Vector. Yeah, but that looks pretty sick when it comes in for, like, a landing there.
Yeah.
I like that a lot.
Sick from some angles, and not from others. Like, it does have some junk in the trunk. That ball turret, while being very, very well detailed, and they put a lot of effort into it, it is this bulbous big thing on the back of what would otherwise be quite a sleek, like, future pod of jet.
They will not let him take his helmet off because then he will be susceptible to the waves.
Oh, yeah,
He's like, let me get my helmet off.
No, listen to this rock and roll music instead.
The Cobras were all wearing headphones. They certainly were. Yeah. I think. How long do you reckon they've been at that research facility? Is that how much? You know, is this the actual first time we see these guys? Is this their debut?
I don't read behind to get what happened before, so like I'd be relying on historical knowledge, but I do think this might have been the first time. Maybe Maverick was in the special missions that might have predated this, but I think it actually is probably after this.
I just don't know why we're not getting introducing Battle Force
2000. No, man, I don't know.
Yeah, well, look, I would take a special missions with those guys hanging out at that research facility in the frozen tundra any day.
Just running the equipment through its paces, or would there be some...
Well, no, let's just get in the whole of them taking out a terradrome as well.
Yes.
I love terradromes. I like the concept of them. That they can, how do they...
They're not just air defense stations. Like,
do they drop them, or do they build them? Are they mobile? Can they be moved once they've been put down?
I think we learn a bit more about them in the 50s of the run, but they are, just like the toy, modular. So I think they are built up, they kind of get brought in flat packed like an IKEA furniture.
But they're Cobra checkpoints, aren't they? If it was a video game, it's like you put it there, you own that chunk of land, and they're sort of spreading around the globe. Chuck a terradrome down there. Let's
destabilize some governments.
Yeah. They're brilliant. I've never seen the toy in hand, but I guess it was a high ticket item. And the bat comes out of the central bit, I guess.
The fire bat, Ben.
Sorry. Fire bat, not just a battle android trooper just launching.
But battle android troopers do look good deploying from.
But that is a nice touch that it comes with a fire bat with its vertical launch, just so exciting.
And the fire bat is a detailed enough vehicle and comes with a superb enough pilot with an excellent enough accessory to be sold on its own. And it was, further down the line when it was no longer feasible to put out the terradrome again. But like the fact that you get an additional toy with your toy trips me out, man.
Yeah, I want a shot of the Firebat fixed camera on the nose, taking off, and then just stay with it, and that terradrome just turns into a dot, just vertical.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah, that's what I want.
As those silo doors retract, there's quite a heavy clack, so you're going to feel that through the camera. But I mean, how would you do it? Would you somehow get a crane to just yank it up?
Yeah, I mean, you'd have to be as high as a house. I mean, it's not going to happen. But even just in animation, I just think that would be such a sweet little sequence that you could do. Because can you imagine the thrust on that, the G's that you'd pull from a vertical takeoff, and also the exhaust ports, like that must be being sort of sucked out somewhere. I mean, when one of those takes off, surely your living quarters are rattling like crazy.
Yeah, totally. All of a sudden, you are the launch gantry of like the Apollo rocket.
You know how Star Wars had those books, the technical data books or something, and you'd have a Star Destroyer, and I used to love those as a kid. We'd be obsessed with stats like the Star Destroyer is 3 miles long, and it has 10,000 crew, 100 ties, 5 AT-ATs, all of that stuff would just eat that up. I would love that with Joe. Like, I'd love to know how many personnel are on a terradrome,
Were those
how many
put out by Starlog?
How many blue shirts? How many?
Are we remembering the same technical? The Empire was a red one. The Rebel Forces was the third one. It was green.
No, they were all 100% official and everything.
Sure.
And I think the Super Star Destroyer was a fold out. You'd fold it out 5 pages, and we just couldn't get past the stats. And then when we'd get in the car, we'd be like, let's drive 4 miles, because that's how long the Super Star Destroyer is, or something like that. I love all that. Love. But yeah, Terradrome is difficult because the comics, they play with the scale, and it's like, in my head, they are colossal. They are huge. I actually think they're maybe more big than they actually are. I don't know.
You might be channeling GI Joe, the movie.
Yeah, there's a lot of that, yeah.
Terradrome on Cobra Island it's the superstar destroyer of Terradromes.
Yes.
Like it opens up and like thousands of dots.
Yeah.
Of, fire bats and flight pods just come zooming out. The Slaughter and the Renegades are able to like clamber up the side of it. Like it's a long walk up those steps.
Yeah, I forget that obviously it does feature heavily, and when they're sort of going around it, it's just going on forever. But
yeah. So look, maybe the Terradromes themselves do have that sliding scale. These kind of units that they deploy in Frusenland and in the Emirate of Benzine and Trucial Abysmia are like the budget ones.
Yes.
Sierra Gordo is another example. It just has one firebat, a couple of cannons. It's almost one-to-one with the toy. And its primary function is to put out paranoia waves, just to be this fortress that its real function is this insidious hidden function of like basically making things very difficult to control, instability, like forcing your enemies to make mistakes because they don't have any kind of shielding against that wave.
Yeah. If you're a Cobra, trooper or something, and you get given a Terradrome, if you're posted at a Terradrome to run, I imagine that would be a mighty prize to run a Terradrome,
They never made a commanding officer.
Yeah, but I know that they don't have that.
That's a slot that should be filled.
But someone is doing that job. Someone's running those damn things.
Hardtop runs the Defiant gantry. Steamroller runs the MCC. Why isn't there a guy charged with running a Terradrome?
Yeah.
Why isn't there a guy charged with the GI Joe HQ? Like, we need the base guy, management.
Yeah, for sure. Like somewhat, even a differently painted blue shirt or something. I don't know, but yeah. Like
what would a Terradrome dude be wearing apart from some pink head cans?
That's for sure. Well, no, I think he has it integrated into his helmet or something.
No fun. They got to be pink and they got to be massive.
But also, he's got to be like a dignitary or something. He's got to be in his pantaloons and like an imperial officer.
Maybe.
Wait, I tell you what, you can't unsee those pantaloons when you realise how sort of Victorian they are. They got the boots that are tight.
Benjamin, please, jodhpurs. You and Chief worked yourself into a team. Like, what are those things called? The Imperials wear pantaloons.
But what's with the boot tight up to the bottom of your knee and then just flared out to the side? There's so much material and fabric there. It's just such a great look. Cobra never really went that route. They didn't really have, their officers just looked the same. They didn't go down that kind of smartly dressed vibe. Everyone sees action in Cobra,
Well, yes and no. Like we see Worms, the driver of the Maggot, whose file card is at total odds with their look, because the file card makes them out to be these like brainless brutes. The figure is so well dressed. He's got a neckerchief, yellow sort of pop of just like a necktie or ruffle, if you will. He's got a double-breasted, like folded over battle jacket, and he's got a lot of like medals and battle ribbons. Like he's got a lot of
lovely
fruit salad on his chest, which makes him look very decorated. Hell, maybe that's your Terradrome.
Yeah, I need to look into that guy because I'm not familiar.
You'll get massive Rocketeer vibes, and not for nothing, but like the Worms can move his head up a lot more than the standard O-ring figure.
Okay.
Maybe it's because he's an artillery man and he's supposed to look skyward. But like, I'm not shitting you, dude. And anyone listening to this who is a Worms owner, check this out with your figure. Like, just check how much more. Okay, it's not going to be like flight mode engaged, but he can tilt his head up a little bit more than your regular.
He doesn't have a high collar or anything that it's hitting. He's just got complete freedom.
Well, maybe there's a bit of a loop. Maybe there's a divot. I don't have mine to hand, sadly. But I got a repro antenna for mine, and I'm very happy with it.
When you do your play motion, like if I've got a fig, Transformer, GI Joe, anything, when they are communicating with another fig, I always pinch the back of their head and do, you know, just like a little wiggle. It's very satisfying, and I feel like it adds a lot. But what I've noticed with play motion, it is the done thing just to have it static.
Depends on how.
Have you ever thought about that? I don't know.
Absolutely. When I've had the time to take the time, shoot in 4K, punch in really tight in post, and you can, in the shot at least, you can put your finger on the top of their head and get the wiggle there. That gives you more leverage.
Yeah.
And you're less likely to be in shot. So yeah, get your finger to the top of the figure's head and just punch in to the point where you're only seeing, you know, from hairline down to chin.
Yeah, thumb and forefinger either side is probably just visually too overwhelming, I suppose. It's more
meat
thumb.
Sandwich, meat on either side of the bread, of the plastic.
But I've always done that. You know, play motion aside, I've just always... That's how my action figures have always spoken. It's great. And I tell you what, with these Transformers toys, the best thing about these new Transformers toys is the head sculpts. The head sculpts are just delightful, and they just have so much movement in them. You can be so expressive, side tilts, you know. In fairness, yeah, the old O-rings, they don't actually have that much going on. I mean, there's very little.
Now. We're not.
No, I know, but I'm all kind of for that. It's a heightened world, isn't it? I think a little bit of that does. You don't want to Thunderbirds it. That's way too much. But you know, like
it always helped that if your figure was a little bit more play worn. My number one guy, Shockwave, fortunately has quite a big old bonce, you know, big expressive head, very stylized. Yeah, I got a nice bit of wiggle to that.
Yeah,
head.
That's great.
It was his turn to speak. Because sometimes in a massive setup, you're controlling multiple guys. You need to be able to like hop around. It's this figure speaking now, so I'm going to animate him a little bit. And that's this guy. I get you, Ben. I get you.
You definitely don't want to overthink play motion though, because you can. Where do you end? Because it's like my thing that I like about is that you're still playing, and you're not being too precious about you can, I don't know, see this or you can see that. It's difficult. I know that if I was to make a play motion film, it would take like 2 years to make. The audio would be completely redone and put in, and it would probably strip out the soul of it.
That's why I kind of always want to push
rough and ready.
The amateur angle of this band. It's like
I think so.
If you're not having fun playing with your toys, something went wrong in the process. Yeah. I mean, the post-production stuff is fun. Like assembling it, love that.
Yes.
Getting the raw footage can be arduous. But some of my most jubilant moments as an adult has been like, okay, Rob, we're just going to shoot a wide. You're going to hold that attack helicopter. I'm going to hold this jet, and we're going to go for it. And whatever we do in this wide, I'll try and fix with close-ups. But basically, let's play. We've earned this. This is our victory lap.
Well, even in big films, sometimes they previs things CGI, but sometimes they do previs. With
dolls.
With dolls and things. Same deal. Like, it would be like some of the stuff that you guys do, how the shots, the editing, how they're pulled together, it would work. It would work in a feature film.
Dennis Muren's previs on the Endor speeder bike.
Yes, incredible. Yeah. So good.
Yeah, those are dolls and models on sticks.
Yeah.
Incredible.
Yeah, I mean, I can see how you could save so much time doing that. But it would be great to see one of your play motions done in live action. Oh, my God.
Done in live action?
Yeah, done. Like an actual film. Same shots, shot to shot. Like, literally.
I wish there was more of a groundswell of support for this. Maybe GI Joburg wasn't the avenue. Maybe there'll be another person who takes the medium further. But like, I would love to get it in front of, you know, the big boys, the people who make these decisions, and say like, people want to see toys on screen. Your toy buying public want to see the actual toys being animated. Robot Chicken got it, but they went a different route, and that, you know, make people laugh. But if you actually played it straight, I don't think it would fall flat on its face. I think it would probably get your movie-going public to buy even more toys.
Yes. Make it everything way more toy-centric. Like, what was the best thing about all of those old Kenner Star Wars ads? They would just play motion at its best. I mean, they would like, rah, rah, wampa.
Warts and all.
It's just fantastic.
And like a cardboard box. They didn't even build sets for those kids. They were playing in the garden with whatever was.
Yes, sometimes you're so right. No sets, just playing. Yeah, great days. But look, we're talking about great days. My day isn't over yet. I've got children to pick up from multiple schools. I've got to go here, then I've got to go there. There's dancing happening tonight. I am needed. So I feel like I've given you guys a Chasing Joe episode, and now I've got to give some time to my family. You're going to have to share me, guys.
Amen, brother. I have... Gratefully, Chasing Joe on this fateful evening in Jakarta was timed perfectly for me to miss bedtimes. So no stories. I'm off with it, baby. I'm going to head up that way, and I'm going to crack open a beer.
Yes. Well, look, I'm going on a snowboarding holiday. So when we next talk, I might look like a panda. I'll have panda eyes. I don't know. But yeah, I'll tell you one thing though. Will the post... Go on.
No, in the States they call it raccoon eyes.
Oh, wow.
But you call it panda eyes.
We call it panda eyes. But let's just see if the postman delivers me anything in the Alps. But yeah. Oh, we're getting
good luck, Gandalf.
We're getting all sorts of delays all of a sudden. Yep. But anyway, find me in the usual place.
Someone else jumped on the internet. Sorry.
Oh, what, is that how it works out there? Someone's jumped on the internet and taken a little bit of your internet. That was my bit of internet. Give it back. Listen to me on People Who Play podcast on Substack. Follow me on Instagram at BenFlyingRetro. S-Jubs, I'll see you next time. If you've got anything you'd like to say.
Just a righteous Yo Joe.
Yo Joe!